Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for September 22nd, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 266. I am Mayor Watt, and the sentient AI is otherwise engaged at the moment. Sorry for the weird intro. Today we're going to be talking about the Annapurna Fiasco, AI Democratization, my own private island of sustenance, ripped off graphics, 3D printed hotel, a purple pearl, forgotten fossils, drones for fireworks, decoding DNA, and mouse. Diverts plane. Everything is powered by ohmtown.com. So go over to ohmtown.com and become a citizen. Then you can do a bunch of stuff. It's actually a social network, but it's all centered around news. So go over and check it out, and then follow us on Twitch and YouTube. Download the podcast, leave a 5-star review on the podcast, and I'll quote whatever it is you say in there, as long as it's somewhat approachable. Go over to YouTube and like and subscribe and make a comment there. Tell a friend, and then come over and hang out real time, either in the chat of YouTube or the chat for twitch.tv/ohmtown. We're everywhere. Even have a Discord and a Patreon. Anyway, it's all powered by ohmtown.com. Go! Okay, it's a time machine episode, which means I only have an hour. I have to get it done in an hour. I'm going to be stuck in history. Let's get into it. The very first article. Oh, and we have a new logo for Warcrafters. I like it. So Warcrafters is all about gaming and crafting, mainly survival base building crafting games. That's what I'm into. That's what I want to do. I want to go and stream these and hang out and all that kind of stuff. But hey, we'll get to it eventually, right? A new report sheds light on Annapurna Interactive implosion, while the parent company says it's focused on moving forward, hiring to fill the vacancies, and still working on the Blade Runner game, whose devs just walked out the door. Following the shocking mass resignation of publisher Annapurna Interactive's entire 25-person staff, a new report from IGN has provided more details about the gaming division's dispute in its parent company, Annapurna Pictures, and its billionaire owner, Megan Ellison. Anonymous and former employees shared concerns about the Interactive division's future under Annapurna Pictures and claimed that Ellison refused to continue working with them on an agreement to spin off the division. Spokespeople for the company claimed that the division's leader failed to respond to their efforts to move the process forward. Ted Litchfield is the author. The deck statement says, the whole situation is a baffler. So it's the Annapurna Interactive's entire 25-person staff, which killing off Blade Runner would be a sucky thing, but hey, the way I see it is, and this is pretty steady, I've only found like maybe one or two where one or two billionaires where they don't just come across as totally sociopathic. So I don't know. Annapurna Interactive was founded as a gaming-focused subsidiary of Ellison's Annapurna Pictures in 2016, tapping veteran gaming talent. Let's see. After a run of producing successful films like The Master, Her, Zero Dark 30, Annapurna Pictures began to struggle financially in the late 2010s. Her? Is that far back? Really? The Interactive division, meanwhile, enjoyed continued success with games like Stray, Outer Wilds, Neon White. Gary was named president of Annapurna Pictures overall in 2021, but a source that spoke to IGN alleged his focus remained on the gaming side of the company. But everybody took off, so Annapurna claims that Nathan Gary failed to respond after the company agreed to the outline of a deal earlier this year. Quote, any implication Annapurna was backtracking on the deal is false, the company spokesperson said. We agreed to high-level deal terms and signed a term sheet which is basically an agreement with numbers, in early April, which makes it all the more surprising that we never got a response. Well, you might want to follow up on it, but considering I really doubt that it's the one time that anybody made a comment about it. So, lost in the mail kind of a thing. So, let's see. The internally developed Blade Runner 2033 Labyrinth, all of its full-time developers appear to number among the 25 resignations, but Annapurna told IGN that development will continue, presumably under an entirely new team. Well, that'll be interesting. I don't know how long it's been in development. I don't think it says in here. Okay, but let's keep going. The next article is over in the Marvel channel, The Dark Side of AI Democratization. You no longer need to be a hacker to hack. The article is over at The Hill. I'm just going to jump on over instead of like giving my little 2 cents about it here with my snippet. And the aggregator grabs a little headline, kind of a snippet of information. But we always come over to the source and give credit where it's due. Victor Benjamin is an opinion contributor. They say that they're a cybersecurity researcher who monitors the darknet, the shadowy area of the internet where people can buy illegal goods such as guns, drugs, porn. I won't qualify it as anything more like grungy. Let's just say that there's a lot. The darknet is named darknet because of its hidden nature and abuse happens in the dark. So, novices with little hacking experience can now use AI-generated phishing content, malware, and more to target everything from individual bank accounts to power plants. Easier access to hacking tools is especially dangerous as more physical devices and systems, from cars to toothbrushes to the electric grid, are connected to the internet and open themselves up to attacks. They talk about Flipper Zero, which, while yes... it is something that it is a tool that you can use and you can be fairly novice. You still have to be walked through stuff. You're not going to figure it out on your own. A small device anyone can use to hack traffic lights is an early example of the threat that amateur hackers can pose to physical systems. Nobody buys a Flipper Zero and instantly knows how to do all of this. Somebody with wisdom teaches them how to do it. So in AI, if you use AI and you run the code that it is telling you to run, let's just say you're going to get caught pretty damn fast. So rather than cage AI, we can fight back by deploying advanced AI cybersecurity tools and updating our defensive strategies to better monitor hacking communities on the darknet, but just not just the darknet, but definitely pretty much everywhere. And that's what government is doing. I just got done sending a text to somebody saying exactly that. AI is going to take a big bite out of cybersecurity because there's only a finite number of actions that can get you into a system past the perimeter, and any unorthodox access can ultimately be discovered in its immediacy, like the immediate moment, because of intrusion detection and prevention systems coupled with AI. It's going to be very difficult in time, not now, but in time, once a system is trained to understand internal threats are different than external threats, perimeter and layers within a network. AI is going to dominate, and there's going to be people that are capable of utilizing it. But I would say that cybersecurity is going to have some downward pressure on competition. Right now, it's an arcane language. But companies like Google, OpenAI, Microsoft are put guardrails on their products to ensure AI isn't used to hack, produce explicit content, guide the creation of weapons, or engage in other illegal activity. Yet the proliferation of resources and deepfakes and other illicit content made using AI suggests that bad actors are still finding ways to cause harm. That's because there are pockets of AI that are utilized by individuals that are pulled away from all of these corporate interests. So It is what it is. The cat is out of the bag. The problem is that either you stop releasing it wholesale to individuals, and thus you're basically going to get backlash because, oh, well, now, us poors aren't allowed to utilize AI. It's basically going to become a political and social and financial class war, amongst other things. I'm sure everybody can carve out just exactly what the class war would be. But I would say let people utilize AI. We need to evolve the ethics and moral compass of society, not stop software. We need to stop the urge to commit a crime or to create deep fakes of somebody that truly exists. There's some wrong-headedness about a lot of things, and one of them is abusive practices. So anyway, it's as if we want people to be able to adapt and experiment with generative AI. They will inevitably use it for both good and bad. We should continue to explore regulations to punish the misuse of AI. I can't highlight. Wow, that was weird. I'm sorry, but we have laws, we have rules, we have the bumpers in place for society. If somebody creates a deep fake of somebody that's legit, that's fraud, and it's either revenge this or it's abuse of some kind. It wasn't authorized, but it has to be implied that it's that person and really is that person. You have libel and slander, and you have other laws that fraud, for instance, and other reputation based legal actions. So our best weapon to fight is to fight fire with fire by using AI as a defensive cybersecurity tool, is what this person is saying. Cybersecurity has long been a whack-a-mole game. Yes, indeed. More like cat and mouse, and ever increasing complexity of mousetrap. We've often relied on white hat hackers probing vulnerabilities one by one rather than systematic approaches to discovering flaws. That's not true. Well, I mean, it is and it isn't. Software engineers should be doing quality control, and opening it up to let people, noodle around with it. But source code is what source code is, and it needs to be analyzed to see if there's any possibility of a breach. But software-based security is largely an afterthought for way too many software engineers. I mean, the article is interesting, but again, it's by Victor Benjamin, and AI democratization, coined as a dark side, but I just see that AI is a tool. The dark side is in humanity itself, but yeah, I'll just leave it at that. This next article is over in Non Sequitur News. A self-sustaining private island in Canada that can only be reached by boat or helicopter is for sale. The island is over, well, the article is over in Business Insider. Jordan Pandy put the article together. We've seen something similar to this before, and I think it was up here. It says in Nova Scotia, but I think that it was somewhere on the edge of Canada and the United States. Strum Island has a luxurious lodge and amenities for guests who want to escape a stressful world. The current owner won't be able to spend as much time there and has listed it for $7.3 million. It's on the market at 9.95 million Canadian dollars, or 7.3 million US dollars. 10-acre property is one of over 350 islands in Mahone Bay, which is about an hour's drive from Halifax, Nova Scotia. The current owner, Richard Goldenberg, told Business Insider that people currently pay to stay on the island like they do for a hotel. All right. So they started construction on the island in 2001. Well, purchased it in 2001, started construction on the lodge in 2003. 10 tons of boulders that surround the island. That's a seawall. The property took about 16 years to complete. Goldenberg became a partner, it says here. After construction finished in 2019, I guess he's, or they are attorneys, partner. Let me see. I kind of didn't really catch what they did. They was conceived as a getaway from 9/11 fears. All right. So it's kind of a rugged rock structure, kind of throughout. It looks like it might be well built. I don't know. An outdoor seating area is pictured here. Most of this stuff comes in on a barge. The barge loads up the building material, brings it over to the island, and then it's used for construction. The main lodge is 9,500 square feet, which is just shy of my limit for what a mayoral mansion should be. Now, there's another building on the island that has 2 apartments used for staff, according to Goldenberg, that can be used to house even more guests. It has a dock. It's a 3-minute boat ride from the mainland, but then what's on the mainland? So yeah, you get your little sailboat and put right on back out to the mainland. There's a parking lot on the island, but no covered parking, it looks like. Maybe up by the lodge itself. It says there's an undersea cable connecting the island to the mainland's power grid. That would suck if it ever gets trolled by a anchor. The property has its own well, so visitors are not reliant on the mainland for water, which is interesting. I don't know how it has its own well. It's surrounded by ocean water. There's an aquifer under the island that supplies the island with water, and there's a sewage system underground as well. There's also gardens to grow your own food. This is the perfect getaway. Wow, this person really has a gem. Fishing also provides another way to secure food without traveling to the mainland. But hey, you know what? If you got an $8 million property, maybe you're not interested in fishing. You hire somebody else to fish. You know, personal chef and all of that kind of stuff. There's also 3 different types of heating systems in case it gets chilly. The average temperature in Mahone Bay is 64 degrees, which that's freaking awesome. Goldenberg and his 2 partners are selling the lodge because of a lack of time to visit. All right, let's keep going. I'm scrolling really fast, but all right. This next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Artist claims Target ripped off her design and is selling it for just $5. Yeah, well, selling a whole lot of them instead of one big one. But are they? Who knows? First off, let me just come out of the... This is what I was looking at when... I don't normally look at stuff prior to the show starting, but I am interested in intellectual property and particularly copyrights, trademarks, patents, things like that. And just doing a search for chessboard design art will pull up a menagerie of artworks that are like this. And Alice Collins over at Newsweek.com put the article together, and I have to say that the person, Virginia Camley, I think 39, took to social media platform to reveal a checkerboard artwork she created back in 2021 and comparing it to a very similar version sold by Target. So it's not the same version. It's not a copy. It's not a ripped off anything. If anything, it's inspiration. It's a square picture and not the 8x10 style. You know, the ratio is different. It has different colors. It's different. It is a different piece. It actually looks like it's squares of different designs from 2 or 3 different paintings. Is theirs? I don't know what theirs is either. It just says checkmate. And obviously the wall art is based off of a checkerboard pattern. you can't protect an idea. You can only protect in a commercial sense. You can't even protect an idea in the commercial sense or in the ephemeral sense. You can't protect an idea. And as a person who most of their career have been told ideas are a dime a dozen, well, you try and execute on no idea and you'll end up with nothing. But if you have a good idea, it could be worth billions, right? Just look around the internet. But you can't protect the idea. You can only protect the embodiment. And even then, you can't protect the embodiment unless you have money to litigate. So regardless what this is nothing more than chasing Target and the associated marketing and then the outrage associated with it, because this is a single art piece, right? But then they scanned it for what was the name of the they made an original but sold that to a buyer, and then but they had it scanned so that they could add it to artwork in anthropology stores. There you go. So they said when the artist says, when I told the company was interested in offering prints of the pink and green checkerboard piece, they were thrilled. They painted the original, of course, but anthropology does all the rest of the work for the prints, printing high quality versions of the work, framing it, shipping it. So they get a commission. It's like a lot of art stores online. Like there's stuff on my site where it's art, but it could be put on anything. So they're saying that Target ripped off the print, but that's not how it works. This is no different than a checkerboard. And so what is the big deal? You can't tell me that only one person is ever allowed to print a checkerboard-esque design, and the two are subtly different. The ratio is different, like I mentioned earlier, on the Target one than on the quote-unquote original. And so I don't know. To me, this could be inspired by this, but they didn't contact you. So what does it matter? But they're referring to this as dupe culture has seeped everywhere, and it's inescapable at this point. I think we all probably buy dupes without realizing that some of these items are created off the backs of smaller artists. Again, ideas cannot be protected. The embodiment can. So if anybody copies this is your work. Fine, protect it, vociferously. But if somebody gets inspired by your artwork, you better just chill, because you were inspired by a checkerboard. Otherwise, it wouldn't look like that, and you wouldn't refer to it as checkmate. So just move on. This is nothing other than, and I'm going to say that it's clout chasing. Target has huge marketing dollars and supply chain capabilities that trump the original artist. But they are the ones that created this piece. It doesn't look identical to it. This is done. I mean, it says here, Vargas told Newsweek, copyright law protects the expression of an idea, but not the idea itself. If someone creates a piece heavily inspired by your work, but with enough differences, it might not be considered infringement. While the legal challenges are complex, artists can navigate this landscape with a blend of legal savvy, creative strategy, and community engagement. Much like the courtroom, the art world is a space where innovation and authenticity should always triumph. And I agree. There are going to be people out there that appreciate their original artwork more than the Target $5 version for a couple of reasons. If I was this artist, I would use, and if you're going to do reproductions, then I would use UV printers and or canvas and not paper and not a cheap frame and so on and so forth, and charge commensurate with the perceived value. Target thinks that this is a $5 image. It's probably not on archival paper. It probably wouldn't stand the test of time, but if you do it right, the artwork would. Now, it probably won't let's say the artist dies at 85, 90. The value of the artwork would go up, only because no more art can ever be created by this person. So, that's where the true value is. But while you're alive, sell your artwork and focus on that. Comparing it to targets is doing you a disservice, because to me, it implies that, well, look, Target can get art done and charge $5 for it. And just like going to Starbucks and getting a $20 espresso, some people don't care for that. They don't want, some random barista's hands all over their coffee. They just want a good cup of Joe. And that's what the Target $5 version of art is. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. See what it'll be like staying in a 3D printed hotel in the West Texas desert. I'm going to jump straight on over. Icon, I think, is the name of the company. Yep. So Icon has started printing a 3D standalone hotel rooms and communal amenities like a pool and bathhouse as part of an expansion of MAFA, Texas-based hotel and campground El Cosmico. Brittany Chang over at BusinessInsider.com put the article together. And it says the project would triple the acreage of the Marfa. Okay, so it's Marfa, not Mafa. M-A-F-A is up here, but Marfa is Marfa, Texas. Now, I dig Icon, 3D printing company. Let's see what they say down here. So, yeah, it is Marfa, I suspect. It says, well, you could argue that calling El Cosmico a hotel is a stretch. It doesn't have a traditional hotel building filled with guest rooms you might expect with the Marriott or a Hilton. Instead of its 40-plus accommodations are glamping. So glamping is glamorous camping. Units like yurts, trailers, and tents. Well, this is 3D printed. This is what I'm hearing about. So in 2026, a collection of standalone guest rooms with 3D printed walls would be added to the lineup. Marfa, nestled between Davis Mountains and Big Bend National Park, is unlike most other destinations in the Lone Star State. So it's an hour's drive from the Mexico border. If you think Austin is weird, wait until you see Marfa. The city of less than 2,000 people is known for its unique contemporary art, like a fake Prada store in the middle of the desert, mysterious light sightings. That fake Prada store is an art piece that was stashed out there. So it's only fitting that El Cosmico plans to expand with the distinctive 3D printed hotel rooms built by construction tech startup Icon. So yeah, these are really neat. This is what I want. I want a 3D printed house. You just plop a roof on it. I would prefer that it's 3D printed and contiguous. But even in a storm, if the roof gets pulled off a conventional house, the house falls over like a house of cards. If the roof gets pulled off of a 3D printed house, odds on the walls will stay perfectly still because it's one giant block of cement. And that's what I want. And it's silent inside, and it's better air conditioned. The only odd thing about it is that it off gases constantly. So you need to have some pretty good air conditioning. So when completed in 2026, the 21-acre property will triple in size and grow to 97 accommodations. More than half will be Icon's printed wall systems, a spokesperson said. I don't know what they're saying for the roof. They haven't really mentioned the roof. They just say wall systems. But I would love this. I would love this. Have the house printed around a giant pool-like structure. That would be amazing to have like a pond in the center of the house. I remember one place that I went to, that's exactly what it was. There was basically a big pool in the center and the house wrapped around it. Open to the sky was this pool. And then on the other side of one of the walls overlooking what amounts to San Diego, you could take the walls and slide big glass walls all up into one side of the house. And so the outside wall was actually open air. And then you could walk right on through to the pool area inside the courtyard. It was just amazing. So I don't know if it's still there, but it was in San Diego. It had this big courtyard and then a pool in the center of it too. Anyway, it was millions of dollars. So, mayors have millions of dollars laying around. Anyway, Jason Ballard, CEO of Icon, told Business Insider in 2023 that constructing these curved structures would be almost impossible without a 3D printer unless you wanted 10 times the budget. Yeah. I mean, it's labor intensive to try and do these curved walls because you have to be, it has to be structurally sound, and then the person doing it has to be an artist. Along with expanded hotel, the new El Cosmico will also include 15 printed homes starting at $2.29 million. Dear God. And the homes are going to be 2,000 square feet and have amenities like outdoor shower and hot tub and whatnot. But 2.2 million in that town? Hell no. Anyway, there's more over here at this article. If you're listening to this via the podcast, click on the show note for 3D printed hotel. Okay, let's keep moving though. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Man takes bite at seafood restaurant, spits out rare purple pearl. Quote, when he bit into it, he thought it was a big pebble. But when he took it out, he saw that it was a pearl. His daughter told Newsweek. So Newsweek is where it's housed. Rachel O'Connor is the author. It's over at Newsweek. So Brooklyn, a 23-year-old student and writing tutor living in Washington, tucked into a plate of clams, and tucked is like a British slang for starting to eat. A plate of clams at the iconic Ivar's Acres of Clams in Seattle while out to dinner with her father. As her dad bit into the first clam, they noticed something unusual. The clam had produced a pearl, and not just any pearl, but one with a solid purple sheen. So this picture doesn't do it justice if that's the pearl. Yeah, because it's not really high res, so you can't really see the purple sheen. Pearls are made by oysters. It's basically a little bit of irritation in the oysters or bivalve mussels, etc. Coat it again and again and again and again and again until it's smooth, but it keeps on building up because it's an irritant and it doesn't get spit out because it's like stuck. Often worn as jewelry, pearls are produced as a natural defense. When an irritant, such as a parasite, enters an oyster, it secretes layers of aragonite and conchiolin, I think it's pronounced. Conchiolin, producing a material called nacre. So they say here that they've not heard of purple ones in the 27 years that they had been here. Added that Brooklyn and her father were doubly lucky on September. Oh, see that, I don't know if this is related to it. Oh yeah, I guess on September 11th, Brooklyn, who only gave her first name and goes by Nomad Quail on Reddit, took to the platform's mildly interesting forum to share a photograph of the small purple pearl alongside her food plate, and she wrote, "Found a pearl." So it exploded. They describe it as having 49,000 upvotes. I'm sure that there's more at this point. As for her plans for the pearl, she said that she'd like to get it set in a ring, though some commenters suggested the pearl could be worth a bit of money. Brooklyn said she couldn't part with it. So yeah, it's unique. So you can find out what it's worth, though, and then insure it. So if something bad happens, it can still be covered. All right, let's keep going, though. The next article is over in Technology Today. Forgotten fossils, mysterious tusked creature unearthed in rock art. And I love rock art. Not heavy metal art, rock art. Dun-dun-dun. So the research compares an 1800s painting of a tusked animal by the San people or San people. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. S-A-N people to local fossils, according to a study recently published in the open access journal PLS1, Rock Art in South Africa, depicting a mysterious animal with tusks could represent an ancient species whose fossils have been found in the same area. The article is over at SciTech Daily, and it was published there. Well, it was provided by PLOS, but published at scitechdaily.com. This is like a painting. There's an animal here, and then there's something big here that looks like another animal is right here. I don't know what this one is, but when you zoom out, it's rock art. It's pieces of art on top of pieces of art, right? So the stone is stained with layers of art. So there's something here, and I don't know which one they're actually referring to. It's a painting of the Docynodont, made by the San in the early 1800s. It says early 1800s, but is that really 1800s? It seems pretty modern in terms of cave painting to be. For something to be from the 1800s, it's too modern. Anyway, the Karoo Basin fossils and Docynodonts. The Karoo Basin of South Africa is famous for its abundant, well-preserved fossils, including tusked animals called Docynodonts. I think that's how I'm... not DOS, it's Dicynodonts, which are often found eroding out of the ground. Benoit revisited the horned serpent panel and found the tusked figure comparable with Dicynodont fossils, an interpretation that is also supported by San myths of large animals that once roamed the region but are now extinct. But I'm not quite sure which one it is that they're referring to, because there's like this curved horn-like thing here, and then there's a couple of these like deer-like animals. So letter B, close-up of the section Stowe and Bleak's plate, warriors, horned serpent panel. I don't know if that's what they're referring to as the Dicynodont, but it's up here. All right. Oh, wow. Yeah, they don't really make it overt as to what it is. So there is an archaeological evidence that the San people may have collected fossils and incorporated them into their artwork, but the extent of the indigenous knowledge of paleontology is poorly understood across Africa. The painting was made in 1835 at the latest, which means the Dicynodont was depicted at least 10 years before the Western scientific discovery and naming of the first Dicynodont by Richard Owen in 1845. This work supports that the first inhabitants of southern Africa, the San hunter-gatherers, discovered fossils, interpreted them, and integrated them into their rock art and belief system. Interesting. Okay, let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today. Drones carrying fireworks, why the world's most famous gunpowder artist is collaborating with AI. What? Now AI has taken over our our fireworks. So the article is over at theguardian.com. For his explosion event in Los Angeles, Kai Guo Kang built his own version of ChatGPT and employed a drone army to answer the question, what is the fate of humanity in AI? That's pretty cool. Those look like flying creatures, and those are the trails. Birds of Paradise. That's what it's called. Act 4, Bird of Paradise. That actually is, that's very pretty cool. Wow. So, Lois Beckett over at theguardian.com put the article together. And it says here, for decades, the artist has been the world's foremost fine artist of explosions. He is famous for his massive fireworks displays, from his glowing footsteps in the sky at the opening of the 2008 Beijing Olympics to his 2015 Sky Ladder, a 1,650-foot flaming ladder to heaven featured in a Netflix documentary. So AI brings me more anxiety, but also freshness, the 66-year-old Chinese artist told the author last week at the historic NASA Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles, where he was preparing for his newest explosion event, which would be the kickoff of a major arts festival opening in Southern California this month. So there you go. Act 2 is We Are. I'm not sure if that's a particular design for a reason. It looks kind of like a Pokemon. So a shipment of supplies had arrived late, and now Kai's engineers are working on a very tight deadline to wire together 10,000 explosives scattered in complex patterns throughout the stadium's rows of seats. In less than 60 hours, the artist would be launching his new pyrotechnic display, designed as active divination, to answer the question, what is the fate of humanity and AI? I don't know, man. Explosives in a stadium under seats? So the human Kai, whose 40-year art career has included fireworks shows of global significance and stunning beauty, is not the kind of artist you might expect to be intrigued by the slick digital promises of AI. Why not? He's not blind to them, so he sees the benefits of it. Los Angeles performance would include a fleet of 2,300 drones flying or carrying fireworks, a first for him, Kai said, since the FAA had only recently allowed certain drones to carry explosives. This was an unsettling premise for a fireworks show. Yeah, nowadays you have to get special permitting if you're going to do something like this. I'm sure they've got it, but drones can't fly a certain height. Depending on the size of the drone, you have to have certain licensing. Yeah. All right. There's a whole lot more in this article, but the time machine is going to overheat if I don't keep moving. This next article is in the Marble Channel. Researchers decode oldest human DNA from South Africa to date. Researchers have reconstructed the oldest human genomes ever found in South Africa from two people who lived around 10,000 years ago, allowing a better understanding of how the region was populated, an author of the study said on Sunday. This is in Marble, but we normally talk about this in Technology Today, which we might end up renaming. But anyway, researchers decode oldest human DNA. It's over at phys.org. I don't see a byline, and there is no deck statement. But so the genetic sequences were from a man and woman whose remains were found at a rock shelter near the southern coastal town of George. I can't believe if that's how you pronounce it. Around 370 kilometers or 230 miles east of Cape Town, and our said University of Cape Town biological anthropology professor Victoria Gibbon. They were among 13 sequences reconstructed from people whose remains were found in the Oakhurst shelter and lived 1,300 to 10,000 years ago. So how old is this? Prior to these discoveries? Because if they say it's 10,000 years old, but they don't know, I don't know. I don't agree with it. Prior to these discoveries, the oldest genomes reconstructed from the region dated back around 2,000 years. So similar studies from Europe have revealed a history of large-scale genetic change due to human movements over the last 10,000 years. It's pretty cool. I like this. 9,000 years of genetic continuity in southernmost Africa demonstrated at Oakhurst Rock Shelter. It's published in Nature, Ecology, and Evolution. Okay, I'm going to do one last article and then I'm shut down for a little bit. I need to evaluate something. My mayoral duties might prevent me from doing another show tonight, but stay tuned. Or at least follow us so that you can be informed when we do the next episode. I might have to do another time machine like this one because yesterday I couldn't do the show. Anyway, the last article for today is over in the Marble Channel. Mouse jumps out of plane passenger's meal and diverts a flight. It would divert me too. A very small rodent caused a very big headache for one European flight. On September 18th, a Scandinavian Airlines flight from Oslo, Norway to Malaga, Spain, was forced to change course when a mouse revealed itself as a stowaway by jumping out of a passenger's meal. I think their name is Harl Borestad. I'm sure I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. Who was on board the flight in question, sent a video account of the incident. Probably not the mouse jumping out, but anyway. The lady next to me opened her box of delicious food, seemingly, and out jumped a small mouse. People were not stressed at all. It was kind of, should we eat this? The mouse? So a mouse gave passengers, oh, that's it. It's the mouse that was a chef. I forgot the name of the thing. Doggone it. So people were not stressed at all. It was kind of, should we eat this food or should we just not? I would say not. They said, I thought, and that's the person who's not reporting this, but the person on the flight said, maybe I should tuck my socks over my jeans so it doesn't crawl up my legs and find its way to sacred places you don't want a mouse to go, he said. That was kind of my worry, so I did the socks up my jeans and just continued enjoying my flight. Others aboard the plane didn't share Borestad's chill view of the situation, though. Instead, the flight was diverted to Copenhagen, Denmark. Passengers had to wait 2 hours before boarding another aircraft that got them to their destination. This is something that happens extremely rarely, Schmidt said. Oystein Schmidt told the AFP. It's an airline spokesperson talking to the AFP news agency that the diversion followed company procedure as the rodent posed a safety risk. Plus, it didn't pay for a ticket, and it's probably sitting in first class. What is the name of that meal? It's where the mouse is it's the animated movie. Doggone it. Thinly sliced vegetables. I'm going to remember it as soon as I go dark. All right. At any rate, folks, that is it for today's non sequitur news, which is actually September 22nd, 2024, season 3, episode 266. All right, that's it. See you in a little bit. Bye-bye.